Hey, Donovan. You guys have been so confident that even when Evan comes back, when Darius comes back, and the personnel is different than what it has been during this stretch, that you can play the same kind of style and you can have the same kind of success. Why was that, and what does tonight show you guys, if anything?
I'm not going to be I don't mean to come off as a wise ass when I say this, but that we kind of know what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like we've seen it. Like, we've seen it, especially like camp, beginning of the year, like before the injuries started to, kind of come about. We saw it like so many different times and throughout camp. And I think that was the biggest thing. We've seen it work. We've seen it, translate. And now it's starting to come to light. Obviously it's come in different forms, whether it's me being out for 5 games, then it's, Ev, then it's DG, then it's Karras, then you see Sam come about, you see Craig, emerge, you're seeing it from so many different ways, and now I think you're gonna continuously see it as guys come back. But I think that's been the reason why we're so confident about it. It'll take some adjustments, obviously things aren't just gonna click seamlessly, but things are going to, head the way because we have so many different guys that can do different things, But when you lose 2 guys like Ev and DG, for guys to step up, one, but also understand that, like, when they come back, I think that speaks to the character and the locker room vibes. Understanding that when guys come back, like, those minutes aren't going to be the same, but understanding that when your time is called, to be ready. Not like tonight, Samuel plays 7 minutes. Who knows what that happens, the next game. But being okay and being ready when your time is called, I think is the biggest thing.
Have you allowed yourself to start envisioning with Darius's return on the horizon what you guys can become full strength, and if so, what does that look like to you?
I think with DG, I think it's even more seamless because the way we've been playing fits him. Like, what I'm saying, he's the guy who can get downhill, create, shoot off the catch. I think that's, a no-brainer just because of his abilities and his style of play. You know what I mean? I think one thing we'll definitely miss, what we've missed, is the lob passes. That's for sure. He's definitely better at that than I am. But, definitely finding ways to, just continue to create and get open shots. And that's his game. You know what I mean? So I don't think that'll be tough at all. I think it'll be something that's, if anything, it's more gravity, going that way. So there'll be even more shots, more open shots, and more open lanes to drive and find ways to get there.
Jackson.
So this might have been your last game as the starting point guard. What have you really learned about your game, and how have you developed in this time?
I'm going to say what I said before, that, what I work on is, it's basically just coming to fruition. Like, our biggest thing is I've been doing this, in spurts, so I think now it's just the continuous work that I've put in. It's showing, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'm ready for whatever's called. That's kind of my job as the guy, to be able to do whatever it takes on a nightly basis. And, very welcome when DG comes back because, it's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's tough. It's fun, but it's also it's a lot of work. And I've put the time in and put the work in. And my teammates trust me. My teammates make plays, make my life easier too. So when you have a guy like DG come back, man, I'm excited for that just because I've not only have I grown, but he's going to continue to do what he does. And now you add that that 2-headed monster on the offensive end. I think it'll be something that it'll be very tough to defend.
So you kind of just said it was a little tougher. Like, what about?
Just from a fatigue standpoint, you get tired when you have to do, you dominate the ball as much, and that's just something that this is probably one of the longer stretches. I've done it in playoff series before, but, I think this is one of the longer stretches. But what's made it easier is being able to just, outlet the ball, have the ball come back quick, swing, like thinking the game in that way. And also that just allows you to think the game from a whole different perspective. So even when, I do move back to the 2, it's the same thing. It's like, cool, get off it quick. Now the next guy attacks downhill. They help. Now it's a swing. Like, there's so many different ways than just being like the guy who walks it up the floor and kind of goes about it. So it's taught me and shown me a lot of things that I've seen on film that I think I've allowed to implement in my game. And I think just from a fatigue standpoint, I think when I say tough, that's probably the toughest part, is just getting used to that. But, I've been doing it for a while, so I think I'm pretty used to it now. But, I think that's probably one of the tougher parts, is being able to, consistently on a nightly basis do that.
When you're able to close out a tough physical game like that, as a team, what do you take away from that moving forward into the next game? How do you feed off of this kind of team?
I think the biggest thing, we got stops. We executed down the stretch. We had some things that we'll clean up, in the late, I think 5:38-ish. starting with the 2 free throws that I missed. But understanding that what we saw tonight is will be what we see, in the playoffs. Kind of sometimes a small ball, sometimes stagnant. Being able to create and continue to get motion in those moments, and we were able to do that. We made plays down the stretch, and in defensively we made plays, got rebounds. You got guys like Russell Westbrook, Paul George, whoever's down there just trying to fight for rebounds, while they know the guys like a Kawhi Leonard is going to shoot the ball. So, kind of having those different things in those moments, as in these games, continue to build on those, because that's what ultimately we're going to see come April and May.
Have you seen growth as a team in that from even last season into this one?
Yeah, I think, understanding each other a little bit better. I think the biggest thing is also the rebounds. Like, you look at Jared Allen, like what he was able to do, especially late, like grabbing those rebounds, not losing them, even though they're probably getting fouled, but they're not calling them. You know what I mean? So understanding that that's what it's going to take, that type of effort on a night-to-night basis is going to be what it takes to win.
Donovan, you mentioned in the locker room briefly about how good Isaac's been on the defensive end. Can you expand on that and why you think he should be All-NBA first team?
Yeah, I think he takes the challenge every night. You know why he's there. It's kind of one of those things. He has like his own coverage. It's like he does his own thing, and we let him just because we know he's going to dominate his matchup every night. I think, and that's something that doesn't really. It's not spoken about, which it kind of pisses me off that it's not spoken about, just because he's a guy that's what he does, and he deserves a lot more credit. We give credit to the 2 bigs, as we should. They are phenomenal, what they do. But I think a guy like Isaac Okoro, we pay attention to, and even not like tonight, he goes 3 for 4 from 3-point line, but we pay attention to, maybe he can't shoot, maybe he can't knock down a shot, but we forget what he's really good at and he lead at. And I think that's kind of what the mainstream thing is, to kind of not think about what he does really well, and then you look at what he's doing on a night-to-night basis and making it tough on guys continuously, and it doesn't matter who it is, you know what I mean, and being able to understand that, sometimes not get the shots that he ultimately wants, and still be able to put an effort in defensively, still go out there on a night-to-night basis knowing that his job is going to impact us in a winning way that probably won't get talked about, which is unfortunate, which is why I'm so heavy on that he deserves the recognition, because this is year 4 in the league, and I've seen the growth in just a year that I've been around him. You know what I mean? So he's one of the tougher guys in the league to go at. It's not no easy night, and he's showing that on a consistent basis, and it definitely needs to be talked about.
You've been Jared Allen as an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about that. You've talked about Isaac needing the accolades and the recognition. Why has it been important for you to be not only supportive but a leader in that way and getting those narratives out there?
Well, I feel like the easy thing to point to is, Cavs are winning because Donovan. That's not the case. You know what I mean? I think that's the easy thing for people to say who don't watch us play. You look at on a night-to-night basis, like I said, I give, like, Sam Merrill, been phenomenal. Craig Porter, been phenomenal. Jared Allen, Isaac Okoro, like, it's not just myself. It's not just DG. It's not just Ev. Like, there's so many guys that make up, what we've been able to do. And I think for me, it's important as a leader, just because I feel like, one, people listen to what I say, and I think it's something that will get talked about, and also that I think they deserve to be talked about. They've put the work and they put the time in, and they're showing it on a consistent basis. They've shown it when we've lost 36 points and however many rebounds and assists with DG and Ev. Like, a guy like Isaac Okoro goes 5 of 10 from the field, 3 or 4 from 3, makes all his free throws, has 17 points, and, holds different matchups. I don't know what the numbers are, but that's impressive against a team like the Clippers, who have been phenomenal. You know what I mean? Does the same thing against the Bucks with Dame. Like, these aren't just like teams that everybody expects us to be. These are teams that are championship caliber teams, and he's doing this against guys who are top 75 players, Hall of Famers, whatever you want to call them. And I think that's just been why I feel like, I have to say it, because I feel like those guys won't say it about themselves. I respect that about them, but ultimately they deserve recognition for the work they've been doing.
Last 2 here in the
Donovan, obviously you'd rather have Darius and Evan out there with you, but JB talked about, Evan kind of embracing the injury as like there's a silver lining in it. You guys have kind of found this identity with yourself. Some other guys that were more role players have emerged. Just was there a silver lining that you guys found on the opposite side of it without those guys?
100%. I think it gave guys opportunities that, like I said, we knew, that they were, like, Sam Merrill was able. We knew Sam was able to shoot. I wouldn't say I was expecting to hit 8 threes in Orlando like that's consistently, or having 30, but we knew he could shoot. Craig Porter being able to see what he can step up in moments and be unfazed. I think that's the biggest thing. You look at George has been able to develop back into his form. Dean Wade's been phenomenal. So now you have all that. On the bench, Karras has been phenomenal, 6th Man of the Year candidate. Like, you look at all that, and then you had 36 points, however many assists, and like 15 rebounds, wherever it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? So you add that back to what we already have. And then also you add, like I said, with adding those 2 guys back, you have guys that understand that minutes are going to shrink, times in game are going to be different, but also being okay with that. So I think there definitely was a silver lining. So I think those guys would be hitting their prime form, DG and Ev, towards the playoffs, getting them in full game shape, so there's a lot of things you can look at. And obviously, like you said, you want those 2 guys out there, but, to see the development of guys has been great to see.
And then off of that, you mentioned how it won't be flawless, but you guys are kind of trying to reintegrate them into what you guys have been doing. What is the biggest challenge, though, you think that? I mean, obviously, they're 2 great players. They'll figure it out eventually, but what is the biggest challenge of bringing those 2 guys back in?
It's going to sound very simple, knowing the plays, to be honest. And I say that because we were going through practice shoot-around, and we forget that those 2 guys don't really know a lot of what the actions that we're in off of that. So I think that's something that'll be definitely challenging, but be quick to get back into it. But ultimately, it's tough, man, because the way we've been playing, it really suits those 2 guys in particular. I mean, I think we run the ball. We've wanted to play with pace. We're doing that. Obviously, continuing to find guys. Defensively, we've taken a step. You know what I mean? So you add a guy like Ev, it's only going to get tougher to score on us. You know what I mean? So I can't pinpoint one thing, but I think the biggest thing I would say is just getting reintegrated, understanding, all right, cool, we'll run this action instead of it being Sam, it's DG. All right, cool. We want DG on this side so they can't single side tag. All right, cool. We want you in this action. I'm going to screen because they won't switch off of me. All right, cool. Ev, I'm going to screen off you because they may head. You get to your little role, get to a little 2-man game. Maybe we're setting the screens. We did it tonight. Like, where they put the 5-man on, Ev put the 5-man on ice. Now Isaac's in the half row. Now you have Ev and Jay on the little short rows and me and DG in the corners. Like, where do you help out from? So, like, I think those would be the different things because getting back into that flow, I think will be one of the tougher things. But we have guys that, pick stuff up quickly, so it won't be that bad.
That's one day.
Hey, Donovan, what did you learn from Evan throughout this process of him dealing with that adversity and coming back?
He's resilient. You know what I mean? Like, he can mess with you mentally. I think, for him to come in on a day-to-day basis, ready to work, putting his time in, being a great teammate, great teammate throughout all of this. Like, those are the biggest things. Guys sometimes get hurt and just be on their own. You know what I mean? He's the guy's involved with the group and with everybody. And then in 20 minutes, having 10 and 9, going 5 of 7, like just being right back, like, and there's still ways he could have been better. You know what I'm saying? And he's quick to say that. So I think for him, just, and him and Darius as well, just being able to understand, like, it's going to be a process. You know what I mean? And for them to be around us, to be supportive, to be, continuously about their work throughout this and not just say, oh, we're playing well or whatever. Like, kind of being ready, when their time comes and just on a day-to-day basis being on time to their treatment, being ready for their stuff, especially for young guys. Like, that's big time.